seeing my first photographs of the snow-covered Lofoten Islands in Norway back in 2012, I promised myself that someday I would take my camera and spend at least a week shooting there in the snow. I came close to fulfilling that promise in February of 2020, but we all know what happened that year. I also came close in 2021, but the border was still closed when I was trying to make my reservations, and 2022 didn't work out on the calendar.
Og det 20 minutter av sikkerhetsmessige hensyn bedre.
So it was with great anticipation that I set off for Norway on a Scandinavian Airlines flight out of LAX in January of 2023. 4 flights and 23 hours later, I landed in a small puddle jumper at Leknes Airport for my 10-day stay on the southern end of the islands. It was already growing dark as I landed around 3 p.m., and after picking up my rental car, I set off for groceries and an hour-long drive south to my Airbnb cabin in Sortvagen. 8:50, and I'm rolling out for Reine sunrise. Sunrise is supposed to be at 10:30, and on my apps it looked like it's pretty clear. It's going to be clear off to the south, which hopefully will get me some light. At the top of my shooting list was the small fishing village of Reine. Situated under some of the most massive peaks in northern Norway, this tiny hamlet has been perched near the mouth of an incredibly beautiful fjord for hundreds of years. As I drove by the homes and cabins scattered throughout the southern end of Lofoten with stunning views in all directions, I couldn't help but wonder, who gets to live here? While tourism is a huge draw for local businesses, many of the villagers continue to make their living as fishermen, pulling in large amounts of cod from the fjord and drying them on racks that line the roadways for miles. One of the best views overlooking Reine and the surrounding area is from the top of a very sketchy peak known as the Reinebringen. The view from the top of this peak was definitely on my list, but I was disappointed to find that all of the newly built stairs were covered in ice, all the way to the top. If I had an ice axe, a helmet, and someone with me who knew what they were doing, I might have gone for it, but after seeing the warnings, it became clear that a trip up with just my crampons would be a very bad idea indeed. But yeah, the steps are totally covered in ice and snow. It's very sketch. And then they go like straight up there. So if I get super crazy, I might try this. Heading north from Reine, the next two villages you come to are Sakrisoy and Hamnoy. Both villages offer views of peaks that jut dramatically out of the fjord straight up into the sky, but out of all three villages, only one has become an Instagram sensation. The most popular location in Lofoten by far has to be the bridge at the edge of Hamnoy.
So here's the Instagram shot coming up to my left.
If you make the trip to Lofoten in January, you might find that there are days when no one is on the bridge at all at sunset, and on other days, photographers might be arriving by the busload. Regardless of how crowded it might become, the red Rorbu cabins perched on the edge of the fjord with the Lillenstinden mountain rising behind is a stunning scene and well worth a quick stop if you're driving through that area. As tempting as it was just to hang out in these three beautiful villages and wait for some good light, I was anxious to explore the rest of Lofoten. On most days, I headed north to explore the many mountains and beaches scattered across the area south of Leknes. The drive north from Sakrisoy easily surpassed my expectations as I drove for miles on roads that wound their way around the beautiful fjords and snow-covered mountains.
Okay, just check the map, and I am on Ramberg Beach, and I pulled over because the sun was going off, which looked really nice.
As you head north from Ramberg Beach, it can be a challenge to keep your eyes on the road as every corner reveals another breathtaking view. Snow-covered massifs erupt out of aquamarine water on all sides, and the narrow roadways and sketchy bridges can make you grateful for the studded snow tires that all rentals come with on the islands in winter.
Gosh, look at this. Maybe there's not that much to shoot, but wow.
About an hour north of Reine on the northern coast of Flakstaya is Myrland Beach. By the time I arrived several days into my trip, it had been raining nonstop and much of the snow had melted. While I didn't get the photos I was after at this location, I definitely took some time to marvel at the emerald water and the rocky coastline. After promising myself that I would return here on my next visit, I headed back toward my cabin. The forecast for the next several days was the absolute worst for landscape photography. Howling winds and almost non-stop rain for the next 5 days straight. The other challenges were the short days, which were generally from 10:30 to 2 p.m., and the fact I only had a couple of glimpses of a clear sky over the 10 days that I was there. In spite of these setbacks, there were moments when the clouds would part just long enough to bathe the mountains and villages in golden light, or to reveal the aurora burning brightly as I stared with my jaw open at 3 a.m. Those moments are coming up in episode 2, but before I end this episode, here are a few of the shots I came back with from the first half of my amazing trip.